Andrea is a thought leader in the space of AI, crypto, Web3, blockchain, sustainability, and space. She leads innovation, ESG, and gaming at Mastercard for the EEMEA region. Andrea is also known for setting up a retail and SME bank across 5 African markets, pioneering customer experience in Austria, establishing the SME centers in Slovakia, and driving upskilling programs for AI in EEMEA. Andrea, welcome on board.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Andrea, can you please provide a brief overview of your journey as a woman leader?
That's a loaded question. I think we can be here for another 2 hours. So my journey started in 1992. I joined Raiffeisen International in Austria. And my first leadership role was actually in 1994. I was the youngest deputy branch manager in a small town in Czech Republic, in Český Krumlov. That's how my job started, and I was super ambitious and I just wanted to do everything right. I joined Mastercard and I'm in Mastercard for 9 years, and my team is very diverse from very different backgrounds. But as a woman, I think I've been managing and leading people from 1994.
Coming back to your saying that you have a very diverse team at your workplace. So in your opinion, what incentives can organizations implement to foster a more inclusive work environment?
I think that we are very privileged at Mastercard because it's part of our core values, right? So obviously very focused, we have very clear targets, how many women should be on what levels, and there is a, great system put in place. So if I take your question a little bit, what should the organization which don't operate like us, which obviously support women, where we pay dollar to dollar, men or women equally, hiring process, we need to ensure that there is a balance between female and males. I think ultimately it starts from the top, right? You really need to believe that it will have a value for you. Yeah, I think that diversity and inclusion, and especially gender balance, it's a lot of talk about it, and it's obviously very clear, but I think ultimately it has an impact on your P&L, right? Because a balance in your boardroom has a positive impact on your strategy and your execution. So I think the people on the top needs to decide that this is something which I truly believe in, and then as only like a soft strategy from a human resources perspective, but it's actually a very critical business decision.
So we have already seen, you have rightly said, we have seen that when we have women at the leadership positions, the bottom line of the organization, we have seen a 26% increase in the positive revenue of the organizations who has women at the board positions. Still, we see that we have a very long way to go. And in the whole ecosystem, mentorship again is very, very important. What is your suggestion that how can we cultivate a mentorship environment for the women leaders where they are free to talk about their challenges, where they are free to share their insecurities?
I'm not sure I'm the right person to ask, because I actually never had a mentor myself. I mentor a lot of women along the way, and now I have, I think, about 5 mentees. But ultimately it's about you as a leader, right? You need to make a decision that you positively want to influence somebody else, right? You want to genuinely help. And I think for females there are a lot of taboos. So I think there is, number one, maybe I want to step back a little bit from the mentorship, because also people mix mentorship with sponsorship, and people are so focused on the mentorship. I think if you are in an environment, in a company, find somebody who you simply like, who you aspire to, and have a conversation, because mentorship is a very intimate thing, right? It's something which you really need to be able to trust the person to speak about things which are happening in your personal life, in your career, and also outside of the company where you currently are, because the world is not only built around one company. So I think it's a very personal thing. My father was an ice hockey player and ice hockey trainer, so I grew up in a very sport-driven kind of family, and he always told me, and it sounds very brutal, nobody else will help you but yourself. And I think that and there is the other saying, when you say you can take the horse to water, you can't make it drink. And I think that you can put a lot of programs in place in a company, but ultimately it's about the culture, right? You have to be able to you want to work in a company which has the culture which supports women, and where you can walk up to anybody and actually ask them if they will help you with or without the program. But you have to do it yourself. You shouldn't sit behind the desk, do your job, and then wait for HR to say, oh, Andrea, we want to pair you up with a mentor because we want you to progress. If already this happens, then you're not taking care of your own career. You don't have in control your own future. And I think that there are limitations, but ultimately it should be you who drives this and you who chooses the mentor, not that a program in an organization comes and say, oh, we think you should have a mentor. I mean, I know it's a little bit of controversial,
but it's not controversial. But what you have rightly said, you have said, okay, the woman has to take charge of where they want to be or how they want to be. When we are talking about, negotiation, okay, whether it is within the organization or whether it is outside the organization, negotiation skills are very crucial in leadership. How do you approach negotiations, and what advice would you have for the women leaders in this regard? In short, crisp, like if you can say,
I think do educate yourself. Educate yourself. Do courses, right? I think that, and it goes back to what we discussed, I think, in the break, is there are many cultural differences, and especially if you work in a company which has a lot of cultures, different cultures are responsive to different type of negotiations, right? I'm Eastern European, I'm very straightforward. My approach might not necessarily work in Asia, so I need to adjust how I negotiate with people in Asia. I would need to adjust how I negotiate with people who, when I lived in Africa, very different here. So I think that number one is read about it, educate yourself. Yes. So go online, and there are a lot of free courses, and get feedback all the time. One size doesn't fit all. You have to be very sensitive about who is the person sitting opposite you.
3 pertinent, very, very points. Educate yourself, adapt, and understand whom you are negotiating with. Extremely crucial and all. So can you talk about one CSR initiative, which you have been part of it and which have really impacted the society?
So I will, if it's okay, I will talk about my personal activities, not necessarily about because Mastercard is doing some incredible things, obviously globally, from girls in tech and female empowerment of SME businesses. We are super motivated, but the change starts with you. So just recently, I do a lot with my kids. So one of the CSR activities I've been doing with my older son, we went and did a trek in Nepal with some of our colleagues, where the proceeds of the trekking were powering salaries of teachers in a Nepali school. I partnered for years with a Dreams Academy, football academy in Rwanda, where I brought 3 kids through education in Rwanda, 3 boys actually, which is it's a fantastic program where you can only play football if you go to school.
Oh, wow. Right? Okay.
And once a year, when they discard old computers, we can buy them. So I always try to buy as many as possible, but it's obviously not because I'm running like a secondary, business of a black market. But I take the computers and I think the last time I was send it was just before COVID. I would send it to a school in DRC.
I think that's really a wonderful initiative what you're doing. Just, one advice you would like to give to our women leaders, who are positioning themselves for the board positions or for the C-suite positions?
I think be bold. I think majority of women are constantly underestimating themselves, right? And if you really want to go into board position, I think, a couple of things are really critical. Number one, decide which industry you want to focus on, right? Build the skills which are required, right? Just because you're good in your job doesn't mean that you would be great in a board position. And what is it, the skills which you are required to have to actually become a board member, right? Join associations which will help you, and build your public profile.
Now that's wonderful. I think these are great insights. It was lovely having you, Andrea, here with us with IWBD interview series. And thank you so much for all the insights which you have shared with our women leaders. And we look forward to collaborate with you in the future.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a delight, and it's great to speak so openly about things which are on our hearts every single day.